What is up, everybody? Mo Bogsley here. It's been a while, but we are back with another Flesh and Blood video. Today, a tier list for Nationals and maybe Worlds, depending how Nationals shapes up. Anything can happen. But first things first, if you like the content, please subscribe, please like. It means a lot. Two, we got some new merch. So we got the Hometown TCG logo and the Ascent logo. Bunch of different colors, bunch of different shirts. This is the Pride hat with the purple rim. I love it. Really good quality, really good quality. There's different versions. This one is the snapback one. It says Ascent on the back in colorful letters. Honestly, really, really good quality. I'm super surprised about how these things turned out. So go to Ascent Gaming's website. I'll link it down below if you want to buy some merch and support the team. But now let's take a look at the current meta for Nationals. Prism just rotated out. She's a living legend because she won the calling. Everyone thinks Briar is going to be the next big thing, but we will find out. Let's not have Kano up here because I think Kano is going to be more fun to talk about later. Let's start with Briar. Everyone right now is scared of Briar. Everyone thinks Briar is the best deck. Everyone thinks Briar is the deck to beat. I don't think so. I don't think Briar is this beast. I think in the last meta, Briar was probably one of the best decks. Everyone was playing her. She was doing really well. She almost living legend out. I'm going to put Briar in B only because I think some of the better decks are terrible matchups for her, and she's going to struggle against these defensive Guardian style decks. While she is a good hero right now, I don't think she's built for this meta. I think this meta is going to be definitely slower and definitely harder for her to break through those breakpoints. Next up is Dash. In the previous meta, I would say Dash was either S or A tier. She was right on that breaking point of being like one of the best decks, right next to Dash and Prism. However, Briar ended up, breaking out and just being the best deck. In this upcoming meta, though, I think Dash is S tier, giving her flexibility from this control mid-range plan to this super aggressive boost Dash that can just destroy you. And when you're going to Nationals and you're going to Worlds, you're going to be playing against the best of the best. These Dash players will be pitch stacking against you. They'll be boosting exactly what they want to boost out of their deck if they think it's bad in the matchup. They know how to play Dash. They will be pistoling you to death. Pistol control is a real deck. And because this meta slowed down without Prism, these Guardians come out and play. And when the Guardians want to play, Dash also wants to play. This might be a meta where you want your smashing good times in your deck just to destroy some of Dash's items. And if this happens, Dash will drop significantly down to B tier. But if no one's playing smashing good times and other ways to destroy her items, she will be an S tier deck. Dash is really good. Next up is Azalea. Listen, she's Boltyn tier. We don't need to talk about Azalea. One day will be her day to shine. It's not going to be today. It's not going to be tomorrow. Next up is Viserai. I think Viserai is going to be the best Runeblade in the upcoming meta. He has the split damage, and he can go slower. He can set up. He has these turns where he can do explosive things. But I don't think there's going to be enough time if these Oldhims are a little bit more aggressive. They are going to be disruptive. They're going to be pummeling you. And Viserai hates getting pummeled. Viserai hates getting Command and Conquered. I think this will be a Command and Conquer pummel meta. And because of that, I put Viserai a little bit lower. But I think if you're looking to play an aggressive deck, Viserai is definitely your style if you're not a fan of Dash. Next up is Granddaddy Oldhim. Granddaddy Oldhim this is his meta. No Prism. He lost his worst matchup. Granddaddy Oldhim has his shield. He has his hammer. He is coming to sledge. He is here to party. Granddaddy Oldhim is the deck to beat. Make sure your deck can beat Oldhim going into your Nationals meta. And also, if you're playing Oldhim, make sure you can play the deck fast because you do not want to go to time. You want P breaks. You want snacky breaks. Do not play slow. Play fast if you're playing Oldhim. But I think Oldhim is the current deck to beat. Next up is Lexi. And in the previous meta, I thought Lexi was S tier. Team Ascent was super high on Lexi. Easton went 7-0 on the deck. We had a really good performance out of Lexi this last Pro Tour. I think Lexi was amazing. We found a nice balance of Lightning and Ice cards. In this upcoming meta, though, I think she's going to struggle against breaking through Oldhim. And I'm going to put her right down here in B tier next to Briar because there might be a breakout Lexi deck if people can find the right arrows, the right strategies, the right overflexes, or whatever it takes to be able to beat Oldhim. But Fatigue Oldhim normally can make Lexi's run out of arrows unless you pitch stack those 3 of a kinds perfectly. And because of that, I'm putting Lexi in B tier. Next up is Icelander. So when we talked about Icelander last time, we said Icelander is good in targeted metas when it's not wide open. The last meta was a play who you want to play kind of meta where the meta was wide open. You could bring your favorite pet decks. You could bring Levia, you can bring Rhinar, you can bring Azalea, you can bring anybody you want. And you had a chance to do good at the Pro Tour because the meta was that wide. This meta, in my opinion, went like this kind of. It kind of went more stagnant, with the Oldhims and the Dashes being the best decks. Icelander can target those slow decks, and because of that, I think Icelander is actually S tier, or maybe A tier, depending how much AB everybody brings. I am going to put Icelander in S tier, and I am excited to see what these Icelander players can bring to the table. I think Icelander might win a Nationals event this year, depending on how the meta shakes out. Next up is Boltyn, and I put Boltyn in the Boltyn tier, obviously. I think Boltyn is just missing one of those tools to draw extra cards to get more advantage, because currently Boltyn is a deck that cannot block well, but he also can't push damage that well either. He's in this awkward mid-rangey spot, and it's not really a mid-range meta. If there's ever a place where mid-range is strong and these Saber combos can really pop off, Boltyn will be boosted up. But right now I think Boltyn is missing something from his deck, and only the best of the best Boltyn players can take him and play him well. Next up is Levia. Well, I think in the last meta, Levia was A tier. Even Mansant came out and said that Levia is missing something, and he does not think Levia is currently that playable, unfortunately. I saw his tweet. I don't remember the exact wording. However, I think Levia is in C tier right now because Oldhim, I believe, is a harder matchup. Same with Dash and Icelander. So Levia normally struggles against those wizards because she wants cards in her graveyard. She wants cards to be able to, banish for blood debt. And when you're just throwing AB at your opponents, she has no way to pitch for AB. So that's why I believe she's in C tier right now. Next up is Dromai. Dromai is interesting because I do not like her Oldhim matchup, but she's kind of like Icelander, where I think the more targeted and narrow the meta gets, the better Dromai gets. She is a very good hero at targeting metas, and she's a very good hero at tweaking her decks because of those dragons, because of her utensils that she has, at targeting the meta and playing the game plan she wants to play. She is a mid-range deck that as it gets more grindy, as the games get slower, she can take over the late game, play more than one dragon a turn, sit back, and say, hey, Oldhim, can you kill 3 dragons? No? Okay, you're going to lose this game slowly. Because of that, I think Dromai is an A deck. I don't think she's amazing. I don't think she's S tier. But I expect Dromai to come out at Nationals, and I expect Dromai to be one of those decks you better have a game plan for, and you better be expecting Dromai, because when she is out there, she knows what she's doing. Next up is Kano. And I'm torn with Kano, because watching the Pro Tour on the cruise and watching the calling, I was like, oh my god, this is a Briar-dominated meta. Do you know what Briar's worst matchup is? Kano. Kano destroys Briars in CC because they don't have enough blues. They don't want to pitch. They let you get your odd hits. They let you do what you want to do as a Kano player. But now looking at these top 3 decks, Oldhim, Dash, Icelander, I put Kano down here. I don't think Kano is that playable right now. Granted, as always, the worse that Kano gets theoretically, the better Kano gets in actuality, because people start dropping those AB spots. But I think this is a meta where you're going to be playing Oasis Respites and a lot of AB, and these control decks will just be able to deck Kano or just race Kano. The turns that Oldhim doesn't want to block will be the turns that he pummels you, the turns that he Okanold fuses you. I do not see Kano doing well in this current meta, and that hurts me to say because I love Kano. But I think the last meta was better for Kano than this meta, and that is just upsetting. Next up is Fi. Fi was the breakout deck we thought before Stubby Hammers was banned. Stubby Hammers got banned, and Fi kind of just fell off the face of the earth. That being said, that was the previous meta. Now with this upcoming meta, if we look at Oldhim, Dash, and Icelander, those are 3 decently bad matches for Fi because they're so well at blocking. Because of this, I'm putting Fi in the C category. I would not bring Fi to your local events right now. I don't think Fi can beat the top 3 decks. Now, once you get past these top 3 decks, I think Fi is really good in these 4 decks. These 3 decks, actually. Briar, Viserai, and Dromai are good matchups for Fi normally. Lexi, not so much. Next up is Dory. We saw a few Dories pop off at the Pro Tour. I'm not a fan of Warriors. I think Warriors are normally a trap at the highest level of play because most Warriors are a mental game of knowing if your opponent knows how to block against you, are they going to overblock, underblock, and punishing them when they make mistakes. The higher level of play you get, the better players get, the less misplays there are theoretically. Looking at this meta, this is a very defense reaction meta. Dory does not like defense reactions. Dory gets very sad when she sees a defense reactive decks. You have 3 heroes that all want to be playing defense reactions. Because of that, I'm putting Dory down in D. As you see, the last meta, there's a lot of A, B, and C decks. This meta, it's more of a, these are the best 3 decks in my current opinion so far, and it kind of falls off after that. Next up is Rhinar. I am not a Brute player, I'll be honest. I have my Brute equipment. I love the idea of Brute. I want to learn how to play Brute, but I have not put in the hours of Brute. Talking to some of my friends and some of my teammates, we do also not believe that this is a really good meta for Rhinar. I'm going to put him in B tier. I think the good Rhinar players are going to come out to play. I think Rhinar can destroy Oldhim and Dash with those high rolls, those big intimidate turns, those, stacking your deck kind of things. I'm not so sure about Icelander. I don't know that matchup well. But I think Rhinar can come out and dominate a Nationals event with the right players. But because of the RNG that Brutes have naturally, I'm putting him in B tier because of that. Next up is Bravo the Showstopper. I think Bravo is the second best Guardian deck. That being said, there's only 2 Guardians in the current meta. But I think he's a solid A. I think he's right on the brink of being S and A tier. This is a slow meta. This is a Guardian heavy meta. Because of that, he is A tier and expect to see many Bravos. Bravo is very good in the Oldhim, normally because of the hero power. Bravo's hero power lets you get Dominate on demand, and Dominate on demand is really good in those control matches. However, Dash versus Bravo is a super interesting match because if Dash finds her items quickly, Dash can very quickly take over the game. But same goes with Bravo. If Bravo finds those big on-hits early, he can take over the game. While this meta does not seem super open, I think this will be a very, very, very skill-intensive deck and format. Next up is Katsu. Katsu has the same problem as Fi. He wants to play against decks that don't want to block. The top 3 decks are all blocking decks, same with Bravo. These are decks that want to block. These are decks that will not let you get on hits. If you can go wide enough to go Mask Trigger, Mask Trigger, Mask Trigger, and Threaten Mask more than once a turn, I could see Katsu being really good. But you're never going to be hitting these control decks unless they draw bad. With Waste Respite, Sink Belows, Fate for Scenes, I suspect we might actually be seeing Yellow Face in some decks just because it's a 3-block that is a defense reaction. And we have Prism. I'm not even talking about Prism. She LL'd. Rip Prism. But this is where I think the upcoming meta will settle. I may be completely wrong about one of these decks. If you think I am, leave a comment down below. Tell me, hey Mo, you're bad at the game. Kano's actually S tier right now. Let me know. Super interested in what you guys think. I think this meta is going to be super, super fun to play. I'm super excited. Hey, I will see you guys in the next video. I forgot how to talk there. Awkward.